Much. Nice packed house for this presentation. So, as Danny said, I'm creating a new lifestyle branded membership club focused on what I call Tier 1A cities or emerging cities in the US and then hopefully abroad. So this is about the evolution of the business model. So I thought I'd take us on a little trip, personally first, and then to Panama City, Panama, and then Nashville. And I have to say Panama City, Panama, because some people think the redneck Riviera, just Panama City, Florida. So I have to be careful about that. So I moved to New York to earn my MBA at NYU and to focus on finance, because I liked real estate and I thought to make money and be happy, I needed to get involved in finance. And went in 2007, party was popping. And then in 2009, when I was birthed back into the real world, things were not the same in the world. And was lucky enough to join a two-person real estate development firm that focused on high-end residential condos in Manhattan and had never left the island of Manhattan. And thought it a good idea to do the next project in Panama City, Panama, a boutique hotel which they knew nothing about, and neither did I. So I was tasked with parachuting into this tiny country and developing the concept from inception through fruition, which meant raising the money both on the capital, both on the debt and equity side, and then developing the concept, which meant putting a rooftop bar on the building which we acquired, bringing the food and beverage back in-house, which then meant I needed to come up with the food and beverage concept, develop the menu, find the executive chef, find the general manager, do the design, fly to China to get all my furniture, fixtures, and equipment. And then once the place was open, develop the music and playlists and shake hands and kiss babies. And it was an amazing experience that for me really introduced me to the creative side of my brain. I didn't consider myself a creative. And this was the first kind of point for me, which really opened up the door for the Project Beacon concept. So the hypothesis that I went through in developing this concept in Panama was that there were multiple generations of Latin Americans and expats that have traveled throughout the world and therefore have become accustomed to what we've known in hospitality here in the United States, which is the use of lights and music and art, entertainment, and beautiful sets like this, and fusing them into one experience. And then when those people would go back to Panama, their home country, or they would arrive in Panama from wherever they were from, the people who were responsible for delivering that type of business just didn't have the creative or execution ability to do something different than what their parents, brothers, uncles, friends had done. So it was just a cut and paste from what they had done. So if you put something in their backyard that they've seen before and it really resonates with them, pride of place really takes over. So we did that through attention to detail and service, the introduction of a artistic cultural component, which really hadn't been done there before. So each room in the hotel had a different local artist that did the artwork in the hotel room. And for a small property, it was a learning experience for me because what it gave the news outlets is a real hook, which they could really talk about. And so in 2012, we were awarded to Fodor's top 25 new and noteworthy hotels in the world list, Condé Nast Hot List, and anytime anyone wrote about Panama City as a destination, which it was rapidly growing and establishing itself in the tourism industry, Wall Street Journal, USA Today, Delta, American Airlines. I mean, I would open up and be like, oh, it's a hotel in there, it's great. So it was a success. And basically after the stabilization of that, I wanted to do other concepts in emerging markets. And what kind of became evident to me is that emerging cities don't have to mean outside the US borders. So I began to look inside the US and see what was being underserved and what cities kind of were fundamentally changing. And these are some of the things that I look for when I identify an emerging market, which is population growth and job growth and real kind of established creative community, and then that real intangible, which is buzz. So I began to look at the paradigm shifts that were happening, that were really coming to fruition. And that third place kind of mentality and ideology that Starbucks really started over a decade ago was really starting to take hold, which meant any Starbucks you went into, any local coffee houses, there were people there who would just pop open their laptops, being laptop warriors, and just sitting there all day, using the internet, taking meetings, and really using it as their place outside of work and home to get, I guess, a differentiated perspective and some inspiration. And then there were people were spending a significant amount of disposable income in pursuit of like-minded individuals. So we're connected by our phones, and we can talk to people like that. But the experience and kind of opportunity to connect with people on a one-on-one basis was really something people were really searching out and spending money on. And that is a culinary experience in their city, traveling abroad or domestically, summit series, Renaissance weekends, and finally, the brands that we know and love, certainly in this room, Airbnb, Uber, and WeWork were really starting to not only just kind of be in their nascent proving stage, but making significant money and being therefore awarded with lofty valuations. So the final component of this concept is really the Soho House, which is really the only lifestyle branded social club that has been able to replicate itself across the US, first in Europe and then elsewhere across the world. And the co-working or shared working environment, which WeWork did, and then New Way House, from my perspective, has done a little bit better of a job. And then there's us, Beacon. Beacon, I know this is before I got here, so creative collisions is really something that I love as well. Sorry to use it as well, but it's really important for us at Beacon because it doesn't happen enough. And when it does happen, it really resonates and it's a powerful moment. And so essentially what we're creating is a place where you can really combine your work and social lives, which is being done everywhere in established cities in New York, LA, and Miami. There are these places that I mentioned, but really don't exist in these cities, which I call Tier 1A, because there's a disparate community that has multiple different locations to do different things, but not a place to find each other. And when I speak about the creative class, I don't believe that your 9-to-5 job defines your creativity or who you are. So you can be in finance and you can do real estate development, or you can be a guitarist, or you can be a photographer, and you can be multiple of those things. And the way that way we're evolving as individuals and as professionals is that people don't have jobs for 20, 30, 40 years. They have interests, and they pursue those interests, and that's why we work. And that's why the coffee houses are so full now, is because people are really kind of taking that opportunity and the mobile connectedness that we have to really pursue their passions in different opportunities. So you have the co-working space, which has its pluses and minuses. You can't really read that, but coffee shops, restaurants, hotel lobbies, and finally country clubs, which is in a lot of these emerging cities, country clubs, golf clubs, university clubs are the only places where people can find that connectedness. And it's really homogenous and a lot of times cost prohibitive to join. Beacon, the best way to do this is to kind of take you through the building itself. So it's about an 80,000 square foot building, which we're building ground up, which will have 65 boutique hotel rooms. And when I say boutique, I mean boutique. Each room will have a different local artist, like I did in Panama, that will do the artwork in the hotel room. And what that does is that creates, when the guest walks through the threshold of that room, there's a story for them, and they connect with someone in that city who created that artwork. And then when they walk back out, they're in the membership area, which I'll go to in a second, and it's a place where the political and social capital of that city is being traded and exchanged, and people are really kind of talking about what's important to that city. Downstairs is completely open to the public. The ground floor is completely open to the public. There's an interesting restaurant and bar concept. Retail partners like Flywheel, Soul Cycle, Warby Parker. And then what I'm really excited about also is the pop-up retail. So it's a place where we can showcase our members' work. So a tech entrepreneur can launch his product into the hands of the local Nashville community first. We can have 5 of our members who are photographers or artists and kind of do an exhibit with their work. And so it's constantly changing and evolving what's on the ground floor to keep it interesting, not only for our members, but for the Nashville community as well. And then invite brands like Etsy, eBay, Tesla, Intel, Microsoft, who there's no place in these cities where they can come in, create an experience to connect with the consumers that they want to connect with, and really leave them with some exciting times and experiences. And then on the upper floors, like I said, sorry to go back and forth, but the upper floors are for members, guests, and hotel guests. And this isn't really about a velvet rope. It's an affordable membership, annual membership, and we care about who you are as a person, who you want to be around, and who you want to be. So the programming is a very important component of what we're going to do. And to give you an example, a board member of mine, I'm very proud to say, is Norman Seeff. And if you don't know his name, he's an iconic rock photographer who taken pictures of Steve Jobs, the cover of his book, where he's like this. They're all black and white, and they're all beautiful. Ray Charles laughing. You can see the keys in his sunglasses, and Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones, and all these great people. And he came, we brought him to Nashville, and he talked about the 7 stages of the creative process that he's observed through these countless interactions with these luminaries. So we really provided this money can't buy type experience to about 100 people that came to the event that we put on. So the event spaces and screening rooms and members' lounge, restaurant, and bar will be in the top floors, and then a rooftop bar and pool to kick back, have a few drinks, relax. So it's really the combination of all these things in our lives that has really changed. And this is a place where people can really connect and find that belonging that is really an innate human desire and really kind of something that everyone wants to do and remembers. So these are just some, this is the site, which we're going to build the project on, and these are some just architectural studies that my phenomenally talented architects are doing. And finally, why Nashville? So a lot of people, that's the question I get a lot, like what's going on in Nashville? And the long and the short is a lot of shit. So you have 2 professional sports teams. You have a very educated, so I'd say the brain drain is now to Nashville. I went to Vanderbilt, and when I was there, no one stayed. Everyone just left to go back home or go to New York. Now people stay there, and people are moving there in droves. Over 200,000 people a year are moving to Nashville. They just built a 1.2 million square foot convention center right downtown, and therefore it's a build it and they will come, and they are the big hotels, which are very much needed. You can go honky-tonking, which is why it's called Nash Vegas, which is, I think, only second to Vegas for bachelor and bachelorette parties. So the tourism is huge. You have, obviously, country music, and it's not just country music anymore. You have entertainment. TV shows like Nashville is filmed there, and believe it or not, is very, very popular, even in Asia, which we're getting a lot of Asian tourists now because of the show. Artists like Justin Timberlake are now moving there. They're creating a new label. Black Keys. We have Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman and all these great, talented people. But the great thing about it is they just walk around like everyone else. No one bothers them there. TMZ is trying to get their foot in the door, and people are very much against it. So all this is happening in Nashville in addition to it's the second only to Houston for 24 to 34-year-olds moving. We were just awarded Google Fiber, which is very important to the connectedness and the growth of the city. So all these things are happening, and it's cities like this that I believe are fundamentally have changed over the past decade and will continue to grow for many more decades, and is therefore underserved in multiple different capacities. So our mission really is to create a physical place where people from all different backgrounds, both passion and profession, can come together. And what's great about these weekends here at Catalyst is that you meet incredible people, have incredible conversations, and then you go home and you're like, man, wouldn't that be awesome just to like not have these guys work so hard to put together something like this and just kind of go and sit. You never know who you're going to sit next to or sit across from or who the person that you're meeting is going to know. And it's really about creating that type of environment where a doctor can sit next to a Vanderbilt professor, they can sit next to a country music star or a producer that no one knows because he just writes the music and has killed it, but he doesn't have a face on TV. So it's really to have a place where these very talented individuals from all different ages and all different, like I said, passion and profession backgrounds can come together. So, awesome. There you go.